The acrid smell of burning silk filled the air as I watched my wedding dress go up in flames. My sister, Victoria, stood by the fire pit, a cruel smile playing on her perfectly painted lips. "You don't deserve this dress," she said, watching the delicate lace blacken and curl. "You don't deserve any of this, Emily." My name is Emily Chen, and at 28, I was watching my sister destroy what should have been the happiest day of my life. But as I stood there in our parents' backyard, watching $5,000 worth of handmade silk and lace turn to ash, I felt something unexpected, not despair, but a strange sense of calm. "Are you done?" I asked, my voice steady despite the chaos in my chest. Victoria's smile faltered slightly. She'd expected tears, hysterics, maybe even for me to call off the wedding. That's what she wanted after all. Instead, I just stood there, watching her mask of superiority crack just a little. "You can't seriously still be planning to get married tomorrow," she scoffed. "You have no dress, Emily. What are you going to do? Walk down the aisle in jeans?" I smiled, a small, knowing smile that seemed to unsettle her more than any amount of crying would have. "You really should have asked about the other dress, Victoria." "What other dress?" Her voice sharpened, the confidence in her tone wavering. I didn't answer, just turned and walked back into the house, leaving her standing by the fire pit. As I climbed the stairs to my old bedroom, I thought about how we gotten here. Victoria, the golden child, always perfect, always praised. And me, the quiet one, the one who worked twice as hard for half the recognition. When I'd announced my engagement to James, a successful architect I'd met through my interior design work, Victoria had seemed supportive. Too supportive. I should have known something was wrong when she insisted on keeping my wedding dress at her house for safekeeping. What she didn't know was that I'd learned from a lifetime of her sabotage. I'd ordered 2 dresses. The first, the one now burning in the backyard, was beautiful but obvious, exactly the kind of dress Victoria would expect me to choose. The second, hidden safely at my best friend Lisa's house, was something else entirely. My phone buzzed with a text from James. "Everything okay? You've been gone a while." I typed back quickly. "Perfect." Victoria took the bait. "Everything's going according to plan." Another buzz. "You're incredible. Can't wait for tomorrow." I smiled, thinking about what was coming. Victoria had always underestimated me, treated me like I was naive, incapable of standing up for myself. But tomorrow would change everything. Opening my laptop, I pulled up the security camera footage I'd secretly installed by the fire pit. Victoria was still there, watching the last bits of silk turn to ash, her satisfaction clearly visible in the infrared light. I saved the video file carefully, evidence of what she'd done, though that wasn't even the worst of it. My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from my private investigator. "Documents received. Everything you suspected about the foundation money is true. Moving forward?" "Yes," I replied. Time to show my sister what unworthy looks like. Victoria had no idea that while she was busy plotting to ruin my wedding, I'd been quietly investigating the charitable foundation she ran. 3 years of misappropriated funds, fake donations, and personal expenses disguised as charitable works. Tomorrow, she wouldn't just be watching me walk down the aisle in a dress she didn't know existed. She'd be walking into a trap of her own making. A soft knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. "Emily?" It was our mother, her voice tentative. "Victoria said there was an accident with your dress." I opened the door to find her standing there, worried lines creasing her forehead. Behind her, Victoria lingered in the hallway, no doubt waiting to witness my breakdown. "It's fine, Mom," I said calmly. "Everything's going exactly as planned." Victoria's eyes narrowed. She knew me well enough to know when I was hiding something, but for once, she couldn't figure out what it was. "But your dress?" our mother pressed. "The wedding's tomorrow." I hugged her gently. "Trust me, Mom. Tomorrow is going to be perfect." As I pulled away, I caught Victoria's reflection in the hallway mirror. For the first time in years, I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. She knew she'd miscalculated, but she had no idea how badly. I closed my bedroom door, leaving them both in the hallway. Sitting down at my old desk, I opened one last email, confirming tomorrow's arrangements. Everything was in place. The dress, the evidence, the officials who would be attending the wedding, and my special request. Victoria thought she was teaching me a lesson about being unworthy. Tomorrow, she'd learn one about underestimating the quiet one, the one who watched and waited and planned. Tomorrow, I wasn't just getting married. I was getting even. The morning of my wedding dawned bright and clear. I stood in Lisa's guest room, where I'd secretly spent the night, looking at myself in the mirror. The second dress, my real wedding dress, was everything the burned one wasn't. While Victoria had expected me to choose something traditional and safe, this dress was bold, modern, and absolutely stunning. "You look incredible," Lisa said, adjusting the crystal-studded train. "Victoria's going to lose her mind when she sees you." I smiled, thinking about what else my sister would be losing today. That's just the beginning. My phone buzzed with a message from Detective Sarah Martinez. "In position. Guests arriving now." Perfect. At the church, I could hear the murmur of arriving guests through the heavy wooden doors of the bridal suite. My mother burst in, her face flushed with panic. "Emily, where have you been? Victoria said you disappeared last night, and after the dress. We've been worried sick." Behind her, Victoria swept in wearing her maid of honor dress, her expression a careful mask of concern. But I caught the slight tremor in her hands, the uncertainty in her eyes. "The dress," she said, her voice sickly sweet. "Emily, I'm so sorry about the accident. Maybe we should postpone." "No need," I replied calmly, opening the garment bag that held my real dress. "I've got everything under control." The color drained from Victoria's face as I pulled out the stunning gown. Mom gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. But how?" Victoria stammered. "I've learned from experience," I said, meeting her eyes in the mirror. "Always have a backup plan when dealing with accidents." Victoria's face hardened. "What are you implying?" Before I could answer, there was a knock at the door. Lisa opened it to reveal Detective Martinez, dressed elegantly to blend in with the wedding guests. "Ms. Palmer," she said, addressing Victoria, "could I have a moment of your time? It's about the foundation." Victoria's perfectly maintained composure cracked. "The foundation? I don't. This isn't the time." "Actually," I cut in, smoothing my dress, "this is exactly the time." "Did you really think I wouldn't find out about the missing money, Victoria? The fake donations? The private jet trips disguised as charity work?" Our mother looked between us, confusion turning to horror on her face. "Victoria, what is she talking about?" Victoria's mask finally shattered completely. "You," she snarled, turning to me. "You did this? You've been investigating me?" "While you were busy plotting to ruin my wedding," I said calmly, "I was busy exposing your fraud. Every dollar you stole, every fake receipt, every lie you told your donors. I found it all." Detective Martinez stepped forward. "Ms. Palmer, we have some questions about several large transfers from the foundation's accounts." "This is ridiculous," Victoria spat. "You can't prove anything." I pulled out my phone, showing her the security footage from last night. "Just like you can't prove the dress burning was an accident. I have everything on video, Victoria, your confession included." She lunged for my phone, but Detective Martinez was faster, stepping between us. "Ms. Palmer, please come with me. We can do this quietly now, or we can wait until after the ceremony in front of all your donors." Victoria's face contorted with rage and fear. "You planned this," she whispered. "You wanted everyone to be here to see this." "No, Victoria," I replied, fixing my veil. "I just learned from the best. Isn't this what you always taught me? Go big or go home?" Our mother had sunk into a nearby chair, her face ashen. "All these years," she murmured. "The foundation. Your father and I were so proud." "Mom," I said gently, "I need to get ready. The ceremony starts in 20 minutes. Victoria looked wildly between Detective Martinez, our mother, and me. "You can't do this to me," she pleaded. "Not today. Not at your wedding." "Why not?" I asked. "You were willing to ruin my day. Consider this your karma." As Detective Martinez led Victoria away, I turned back to the mirror, adjusting my veil one last time. Lisa squeezed my shoulder supportively. "Ready?" she asked. I nodded, feeling lighter than I had in years. More than ready. Through the window, I watched as Victoria was discreetly escorted to a waiting car, her perfect world crumbling around her. She'd spent years making me feel unworthy, but in the end, she'd been the one living a lie. The wedding coordinator poked her head in. 5 minutes, Emily." I took one last look in the mirror, smoothing the dress that Victoria never knew existed. In a few minutes, I would walk down the aisle to marry the man I loved, while my sister faced the consequences of her actions. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising above and showing them exactly what unworthy can achieve. The wedding ceremony was perfect, though not in the way Victoria had expected. As I walked down the aisle, I could feel the collective gasp of the guests. The dress I'd chosen, a sleek, modern design with intricate beading that caught the light with every step, was nothing like the traditional gown Victoria had burned. James's face lit up when he saw me, and in that moment, all thoughts of Victoria faded. This was our day, and no amount of sabotage could ruin it. But the real drama unfolded at the reception. I was sharing my first dance with James when my phone buzzed with a message from Detective Martinez. Story breaking on local news. Foundation fraud exposed. Right on cue, I noticed several of Victoria's high society friends checking their phones, their faces shifting from confusion to shock. The whispers started spreading through the ballroom like wildfire. $3 million missing. Palmer Foundation under investigation. Victoria Palmer arrested. My mother approached me as the dance ended, her eyes red but her head held high. I spoke with your father, she said quietly. He's at the police station with Victoria. She confessed to everything. I nodded, squeezing her hand. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, Mom. No, she said firmly. I'm sorry. Sorry we didn't see what was happening. Sorry we didn't see you. The truth was coming out faster than even I had anticipated. Victoria's carefully constructed facade was crumbling in real time, and the guest list I curated, full of foundation donors, board members, and local media, ensured maximum exposure. Lisa appeared at my elbow with a tablet. You might want to see this. On the screen was a breaking news article. Palmer Foundation scandal. Director arrested at sister's wedding. The photo showed Victoria being escorted to a police car, still in her maid of honor dress. Miss Palmer, a voice called. I turned to find Mr. Richardson, one of the foundation's biggest donors, approaching. I must say, this is quite the unexpected turn of events. Mr. Richardson, I greeted him calmly. I hope you understand why I chose to handle it this way. He nodded gravely. For years I've donated to that foundation, believing in Victoria's vision. I appreciate you bringing this to light. He paused, studying me thoughtfully. We'll need someone to oversee the restructuring of the foundation, someone with integrity and attention to detail. I smiled, understanding his implication. I'd be happy to discuss that after my honeymoon. As the evening progressed, more details emerged. Victoria's scheme had been elaborate but ultimately sloppy. She'd gotten careless, confident that no one, especially not her unworthy sister, would ever catch on. Around midnight, as the reception was winding down, I received another text, this time from Dad. Victoria's being held without bail. She's asking for you. I showed the message to James, who wrapped his arm around my waist. It's your call, love. After a moment's consideration, I replied to Dad, tell her I'll visit when we return from our honeymoon. She has 2 weeks to think about what unworthy really means. Later that night, in our hotel suite, James and I finally had a moment alone. You know, he said, loosening his tie, when you told me about your plan to expose Victoria at our wedding, I thought you were crazy. I laughed, kicking off my heels. Crazy like a fox. The dress thing was brilliant, though, he admitted. You knew she wouldn't be able to resist ruining it. Victoria's always been predictable in her cruelty, I said. She never understood that her worst actions brought out my best planning. The next morning, before leaving for our honeymoon, I visited my old bedroom one last time. In the back of the closet, I found a box of childhood memories, report cards, awards, achievements that had always been overshadowed by Victoria's louder, more celebrated accomplishments. Ready to go, James called from downstairs. I closed the box, leaving it behind. I didn't need those reminders anymore. The media coverage of Victoria's arrest and the foundation scandal continued for weeks, but I was too busy enjoying my honeymoon in Bali to pay much attention. Sometimes Lisa would send me updates, Victoria's bail denial, the growing list of charges, the former employees coming forward with more evidence of her fraud. But the sweetest moment came in a letter I received from Victoria, forwarded to my resort. You planned this perfectly, didn't you? Made me think I was ruining your wedding when really, I was walking right into your trap. I underestimated you, Emily. I always did. I folded the letter and watched the sunset from our private villa. Victoria had spent years making me feel unworthy, but in the end, she'd been the architect of her own downfall. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about getting even. It's about showing them exactly who you've become while they were busy underestimating you. And as for that burned wedding dress, its ashes were proof that sometimes you have to let something be destroyed to build something better from the ruins.